Hi, this is Howard from AVtransfers. It's a Saturday morning, and I'm just looking through my emails, and I came across this video machine, which I've never seen before. I belong to a couple of Facebook groups that just show pictures of really cool equipment from Japan and around the world, and this came up, and I thought, oh, let me see if I can find one of these. And lo and behold, I did find one on a Japanese auction site. This is the PCM-HF10 BETAMAX VCR from 1996. And it's a standard beta hi-fi machine, high band, but there's one really interesting thing that makes it very unique, other than the fact that it's quite a narrow form factor. There appears to be a PCM option on this. PCM meaning digital. Now, before there was DAT tape and before digital was a thing in a sort of mass consumer way, the prosumer market was introduced to digital with digital plugins or add-ons for existing equipment. You could get a PCM processor for your Betamax machine, and that would output digital in a video form for you to record onto tape. So I do get some of these tapes from time to time. They're very interesting to transfer. But what's interesting about this one is this has got the PCM decoder encoder built in to the machine. I've never seen that before for a Betamax. That is very, very unique. So just showing a couple more pictures of this. Let's go back to this. I spent quite a bit on this, but it looks like it works. It looks like everything works electronically, at least. I don't know what the mechanical condition is going to be, but it looks clean enough that it might be worth trying to fix. And this is generally in the generation of machines before we had switch mode power supplies. So this is obviously NTSC, and it's obviously 100-volt machine. That's not a problem for us. But it looks really interesting. So if I translate this, they always give you some spiel about there being no Betamax tape, so playback is unconfirmed, but operation is unknown. So I listed as junk. So I took a chance on it. So it's very interesting because that is now on its way to the warehouse, and basically that is on its way to me. So the next part of this video hopefully will be me receiving the machine and checking it out. It may or may not work. That's always a possibility. So we'll see about that. So then the other interesting thing is a lot of the Betamax machines that were later generations, the ones that were not popular in Europe because they were sort of past that format, I guess. The Betamaxes you could get in Japan and the US all struggle with the same problem. Now, you know, you can buy one machine and repair another one if you have two of the same. All of the Betamaxes, every darn single one of them, has the same problem if it's not working. And that is that the carriage, the top loading carriage that goes between the tape going in and down into the mechanism fails. It has guide pins on each side, and they're made of, guess what? Plastic. So these get brittle over time and they break. And of course, it's a huge bone of contention because it's very hard to get this part. Now, there's somebody on, is it Etsy, who I found, who manufactures, 3D prints the replacement guides for these sides so that it can locate and it can go in and out. But the problem is that the plastic, I'm not too sure it's particularly good, and the one I got so far, I was unable to get it to work properly. So at the moment, I'm actually having a local company machine brass fittings that will replace the broken pins on both sides, because I think brass has a much better chance of actually enduring. But while that's also happening, I happen to find this fully intact carriage someone was selling. There's a couple of dealers that I monitor, and they from time to time sell um, these parts. And so this is basically these are guys who know what they're talking about. And the key word here is no broken shafts. So with a bit of luck, I'll have a spare for that. So I've basically repaired a couple of BETAMAX machines. I bought a couple like this and repaired them, but there's only a question of time before these plastic pins fail again. So I'm basically going to be experimenting with that as well on top of this other machine that looks really, really interesting. So stand by and let's see what arrives in the post. This may be in 3 weeks' time. I don't know, but let's see how we go. Well, this is Howard from AVtransfers, welcoming you back to a new video. And we had a look just before the intro on the internet. We had a look at a very interesting BETAMAX machine that was on auction, which I bought, and lo and behold, it has arrived. It has arrived. So that was probably about a week ago that I filmed that video. And now we're going to open this up and see what's going on. Now I've got to tell you that YouTube videos don't get any better than this. Wow. A whole brand new box from overseas. This is the BETAMAX. Let's have a look at what we got. One thing I will say, which is incredible about the stuff that comes from Japan, is the packaging is incredible. Wow. I don't even know where they get this tape. It's really super strong stuff. Let's just open this up. So this machine I bought is a very interesting one. And there's nothing else quite like it from what I can tell. So let's have a look what we got. Whoa, a big box. But wow, that is a really compact machine. Let me just look at that. It's actually sort of what we would call in the old days a MIDI size component. It's a tiny little BETAMAX. Look at that. Okay, let's get this box out of the way and we can take a proper look at that. Okay, so what's nice about this internet site is they put everything really, really well. They make their own bespoke packaging to order for these items, and this is no exception. So, wow, this is pretty chunky. It feels like the back. It feels like the front. Okay, so Sony made these, I think, mid-80s, when everybody was really into the digital switchover, if you like, with home recording. This was something they introduced, a combined BETAMAX PCM recorder. The PCM unit is built in to the VCR. If it works, well, another story. But we're going to find out. Ooh, it's a Sony. I like that. So this machine, I'm hoping, predates surface mount capacitors. That certainly would make life fair bit easier. So when I looked at this on the auction site, I was encouraged by a couple of things. One was that the display looked like it was illuminating correctly and it was showing the time. There was another one on there, but it looked like everything was lit up, which looked like it was baked. So let's have a look what we got here. Let's get into before we even look at the front, let's look at the back. This is a chunky. Oh, you got to love that. Proper transformer. proper old-fashioned transformer. At the back we've got some sort of tracking lock or some sort of still mode lock, or maybe that's the PCM goodie. Anyway, video in out, audio in out. There's two output channels, VHF UHF modulator, VHF modulator, VHF or UHF antenna in. It's got some sort of a control socket. This is interesting. What is this? Huh? Doesn't look like anything there. A lot of the Japanese stuff has a loop-through power connector. Digital audio video cassette recorder. Let's get a close in on that. Very interesting. HF10. Alright, let's just zoom out a bit again. Let's take a look at the front. Oh God, this thing is heavy. This is a heavy BETAMAX. It's not small. It's small, but it's not heavy. It's not light. Have a look here. Okay, interesting things here. We've got here VHF channels 1 to 3, 4 to 12, UHF and clear. Okay, well that looks a bit jiggly. Preset tuning. Okay, split stereo. Internal mono off. I don't know what that's about. Perhaps there's some sort of stereo receiver. There must have been some sort of stereo receiver in here as well, I would imagine, right? It was the thing in the 80s, right? Oh, come on. Go on in there. Really? You're not going to go back? It's disappointing. Hang on. Okay, no, that's fine. So let's have a look at the front. Let's just turn this upright. We can have a look at the front. It doesn't smell bad, which is a good sign. And I'm really hoping it doesn't have the plastic. Does look like it's got the plastic loading. Sony really didn't do anyone any favors with the plastic loading mechanisms that they've started introducing on a lot of machines. But it might be okay. It feels like it's still okay. So we've got here your volume, eject, headphones, right? PCM or beta hi-fi. Very interesting. PCM or VTR. Okay, so you have to, okay, it's not a permanent push-in button. It's just a toggle. You can choose between your PCM and your videotape recorder. So you could only use it as a digital recorder or as a VCR. You couldn't use it as both at the same time. All the normal sort of BETAMAX stuff. Let's see what's under here. Okay, so it does have a little. Let me put it on here and let's see if we can get a better close up. Yeah, lighting isn't great today, is it? I just found my macro lens, so that's great. So there's the PCM Beta Hi-Fi logo. And taking a look at the controls here, we've got tracking. Let's see if that works. It feels like it works. Sharpness. Beta 2 or Beta 3. Beta Hi-Fi on or off. High band. Very nice. Stereo, right. Timer online. Not too sure. Perhaps that's to do with the remote power for a timer. Blue writing, not seeing it so well. Okay, timer, clock set, timer record. Okay, and all your keys are on the right. So what's interesting here is it looks like a pretty much a standard high band beta hi-fi machine, but it has got a toggle switch. And when you hit PCM, it becomes a digital audio recorder, which is very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Interesting. So I suspect the next thing we'll do is we'll get it up on the table and get it powered up and see if it lights up. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm actually opening up the machine. I just want to have a look at it before we put it with power on it. So I just want to see what the condition is of the inside, because I thought to myself, perhaps that would be a good thing to check before we get ahead of ourselves. Next thing I plug it in and it's got some other issue. It does look like it has been opened before by somebody, because there's a little bit of silver worn off on the screws. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. And get out. Whoa. Okay. Oh, this is busy. This is one heck of a busy machine. Look at this. Wow. This is busier than I had anticipated. Okay, so let's have a look here and see if we can open up these little screws. I just want to see what's going on in them. No, these are glass. Fudge. Definitely not, so I see. Definitely got a screwdriver of the right kind for this. There we go. Right. I just want to have a look, see what we've got over here. It looks pretty much unmolested, which is a very encouraging sign, but who knows, right? I don't see any bugs, which is a good start. Wow. But this may have mechanical issues. Yeah, this is definitely, Sony was much better at doing its game. This is in very, very clean shape. It looks very clean to me. Look at that. It's got plastic fantastic cogs over here. They all seem to be okay. Everything looks intact. Everything looks pretty darn good. Good enough to power up, I'd say. Let's just see here. Yeah, that feels good. It all looks pretty darn clean. Very impressive indeed. Okay, so let's just check that out. This looks really, really good. What's that like that? They're obviously taking the shielding very seriously here for this machine. I suppose because they were putting the digital stuff inside with the analog stuff. This may have been the reason they did it like that. But it does look like an earlier version of the loading mechanism, the cassette carriage, so that should be good. Just see here that I've not caught any wires in doing that. No. There's a lot going on here, though, to be honest. Based on that, I don't know if it's going to work okay or not, but we're going to certainly give it a go. Wow, it is bizarre. Okay, so we've got a 100 volt step down transformer, 1 amp 100 volt, and we've powered up the machine, and I'm pleased to say it has come up. It's blinking the clock, and if I push power, it looks happy. Comes up with beta hi-fi and the counter, and it's on line 1. And here up the top here you'll see it says beta 2. This is a bit obscured, which is a bit of a pity because the bar graph meters are quite nice on these things. But you'll see there it's got left and right. I'm not sure if that seems to respond to the meter, the slider being moved around. So basically, under normal circumstances, this is purely a normal beta hi-fi machine. And then if you push PCM, it shows you P there, and now you've got a PCM digital recorder. So we're going to have to get a tape and test out if it's working. But that'll be our next step. Okay, so here's a little bit of fun. As part of the BETAMAX video that I've been doing, I ordered a replacement loading carriage from Japan, and this came a while ago now. And this part is a common failure part in all of the BETAMAX machines that sort of came out, I guess,
from the mid to late 80s. They have a plastic piece in the loading compartment that just cannot stand the test of time, and it fails. So I bought this. I think it was sold as I bought basically a spare part, but it confirmed to be in good working order. But it does beg the question. I've got a lot of these Sony BETAMAXs with the same type of system. Granted, they may not all fail, but some of them will. And I don't really want a perfectly good machine to be written off because of one part. So let's have a look at what we got from Japan in this box. So let's just put that away. Japanese writing. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't have to pay any duties on that. It wasn't too expensive. It probably ended up costing about £45 with all in to buy and ship this part, which is a lot because this is not the first time I've bought parts like this, and last time I did they broke. So hopefully this one's in better shape than the previous ones. But there's more to this video than you think. So let me explain. So this is the replacement carriage for these Sony BETAMAXs. This one smells like it's been freshly oiled, so it smells like this is in nice condition. Okay, so these are very hard to come by. And this, when a particular part of a machine fails on all of them, then they all have the same problem, and it's very hard to fix it. But if you look here, you'll see this is a good example here. This has got, I don't know if you can see it there, my eyes aren't so good. You see a plastic piece sticking out. That's the piece that breaks and fails, okay? And this side is the same. So this is a perfectly usable, intact new carriage for a Sony BETAMAX. And this is incredibly valuable for any future BETAMAXs that I might have that have this failed part. And I've got to say, there's a lot of oil on this, but I suppose maybe that's how they stop it from, what was I saying? I've just had a brain fart. Basically, this is a spare and that's great, but there'll be other ones that fail and I need to be able to fix them. So I bought some 3D printed parts that are supposed to fit over these cogs, but they're not particularly good. So I'm going to show you what I've done in an attempt to solve this problem myself and to have spares on an ongoing basis. So this plastic piece is great if you can get it back on there, or if you can get a 3D printed part, great, but there's more to it than that. So let's get the other one and have a look. Okay, so continuing on that, here is my my slightly disassembled version of the same thing. So this is a part that came out of a broken VCR, and that I've had actually basically put into storage. And then we came up with the idea, and I'll show you what we've done here. We've actually sorry, I'm going to try and bend this. It's a bit naughty. It's not quite how it's supposed to look. This is very hard. Once you take this piece off, it becomes very flexible and bendy and not very good. Basically, what we've done is I've had, can you see that? Oh gosh, there we go. I've had brass machined correctly to fit over the metal pin that's inside here. So this has now been replaced with brass metal pins. So effectively now, with a bit of luck, we should be able to put this piece back together. If I haven't totally messed it up, which may also be the case, because I can't quite remember how this goes together again. I'm going to have to look at the other one and see what's going on. Just hold on. Okay, so I've got the machine open, and it's a beautiful machine. It's got 3 motors, one for the forward and reverse drives, one for the capstan, and one for the head.
That's the head, that's the capstan. And when I push play, it seems like everything is working. Well, let's rephrase that. When I try and play, the head is spinning and the capstan is spinning. But there's a problem. There's no connect with that. So the real drive is not working. But everything else is working. So I think we could get this working. I need to have a look at the top and see where the disconnect is. Okay, so we found the problem. I've opened the machine. There's the motor. And it has a little rough section around it, and that drives these wheels. But the problem is that this guy is cracked. You see it there? And there's the problem, why it won't rewind and fast forward or work. So just taking a look at this bunch of pictures here, you can see the damage. And it's a great shame that these things happen, but they're all doomed to fail. So let's see if we can find a new part for it. Not an easy thing because it's a common failure point, but let's try and find something to solve this problem. Okay, so we've got the parts for the BETAMAX. They've been packaged up in a nice envelope, and I'm going to be sending them off to Nederland, where a company has agreed to try and print me new parts for the Sony BETAMAX, because those parts are just simply not available, and they're not the same as any parts for any European models, and not even for a lot of the USA and Japanese models. It's quite specific to that machine. Let's see how we go. Yeah, I'll let you know what we find out. We're at an exciting part of the video, and that's where we're going to leave it for today. This is the end of part 1, and I hope to bring you part 2 as soon as I have figured my way through the assembly and installation of the new parts that have arrived. So thanks for watching. This is Howard of AVtransfers.co.uk. Appreciate the views. If you like this sort of stuff, please consider subscribing. And for now, it's adios.